So we are going on 65 years, and anyone that knows something about nonprofit organizations knows that many organizations don't even make it to 5 years, let alone 65 years, and let alone just on volunteer effort. So we're really proud to be involved with this organization. It's the little mighty engine that could. And we're very proud of the people that contribute so much to the organization. Our Deputy Director, Eric. Ken is very, very active with us. Ken Shopman, who is our Director of Partnerships and Programming. They are both now on the board as well. And we have John Wilhelm, who is a fantastic, not only volunteer, but graduate, and has a wonderful success story that he could share with us as well. So I just want Adam primarily to know that we are a little organization that does a whole lot of good. And the good that we do is primarily because we're peers helping peers. Our course is taught by peers who have gone through the course, graduated, and gone on to get a job. And so they can tell you how they did it. They can also tell you about what works and how to go about developing a strategy for utilizing your strengths to good advantage and to develop an impactful presentation of yourself, either person to person in an interview or on your resume as well. So with that, I don't want to take any more time because the majority of you know about 40 plus. Okay? Very good. Ken, if you would take it.
Great. Thank you, Gerald. Thanks very much. And thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. How many of you know someone, and when you think about them, you think, I knew them when? Well, that's what I think of when I think about Vinay. Because I knew Vinay. Vinay and I worked together in one of his former lives, or one of my former lives, when he was leading a regional printing company. He may tell you more about that. But I'm so delighted that Vinay is with us today because he really has emerged into an extraordinary leader, expert, innovator, and trainer for many different organizations. And I just want to summarize a little bit about his experience, which he admits, and I'm taking this from your information, so consists of both successes and failures.
Lots of them.
Including leadership, external and internal sales, marketing, customer service, operations, strategic planning, training and education, coaching and mentoring, and designing and facilitating learning conversations. I think we've all touched on a lot of those. Vinay's worked in the private sector, the U.S. federal government, family-owned and operated businesses, serving for-profit, not-for-profit, and government clients. He's currently a leader with Tioco Corporation, which develops software solutions in the telecom sector. They have offices in 15 countries with clients in over 100 countries. His primary focus is working with IT and engineering leaders, managers, and high-potential individual contributors, just like all of us, around the globe, supporting them to become more effective in their professional and personal lives. The results he creates are achieved by facilitating individuals' personal growth and development through designing and delivering cohort-based, multi-session leadership development programs and coaching. Prior to his role at Tioco, Vinay held senior leadership roles at Marketing General and the R Group, as well as the co-owner of a regional printing and marketing group, GRC Direct, which specializes in serving the association community, the world I was in, and in still, and nonprofits. Vinay's commitment to excellence and customer service helped grow GRC's sales 28-fold and increase the staff 15-fold during his leadership. Vinay received a leadership credential from Georgetown University and his undergraduate degree in chemical engineering from the University of Maryland. And we're very proud to have him here at 40 Plus. Vinay, thank you very much.
I like a lot of variety in my life. I can't do something for a long time. I just keep changing and it all comes together. So a little more of my background. I've been an engineer. I've been engineering for some time. I ran a business for many years, as Ken mentioned. And back when I was about 48, and I'm 58 now. So when I was 48, I left the business. It was successful. The business still exists. But I said, is this it to life? And I said to myself, if I never leave, I'll never find out what next. So I gave the business away to my business partner. I said, it's all yours. Have a great life. And I need to find who I am and what I do next. Why am I here? It was, there were times I was going through a transition, I said, what the hell did I just do? It took me a little bit of time to figure out what my role is and why I'm on this earth. But looking back, it's been a wonderful journey. So what do I do now? I do three things primarily. One is, when I was running a business, they say leadership is a lonely job. It really is. I often say, who do I talk to when I have my challenges? Is there a safe space where I can have a conversation, where I can openly say, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing? And have those conversations and have a sounding board and get a different perspective. So I saw that person that I so wanted in my life at one time, but didn't have. I didn't know about coaching at the time. And then as I was a young engineer, as I began to move in an organization, I had strong functional competency, and I was a really strong individual contributor. And because when you're good, they move you to management. And that's where my troubles began. Because I had great hard skills, I had no interpersonal skills. And about communication, you would never see me in front of a classroom at that time. No way. That's not who I am. At least that's what I thought. So my work with lots of technical people. Communication, interpersonal skills, how to work on the thinking, all that stuff. And then helping people get unstuck. So a variety of things, that's what I do. But before I get started, I want to get a brief sense of what brings you here. All of you are busy individuals. What brings you to this particular session? What do you want to get out of it? So when you walk out this door, you say, this was a great use of your time. Why are you here? Besides great food and great company and all that stuff. What do you want to get out of today?
Hearing your story.
Wow. Good. Good. What else? Somebody said about how to work on thinking in a different perspective?
Yeah, I think the main purpose of me coming here is to get that positive spirit and attitude to do the right thing, and as I was speaking to earlier, I'm looking for that aha moment in my life.
Okay. Great. How many of us looking for that? Right? Aha moment. Those are wonderful moments. I call it inflection points. When you get an aha moment, suddenly life moves in a very different direction. And sometimes it takes courage to move in that direction, follow that. But those are major inflection points in our lives. So we'll make this a conversation. I'm not much of a talking kind of person, so we'll have a conversation along the way. Does that sound okay? Yes. So what's my agenda? I want to talk about three topics. One is leadership. And the reason I talk about that is when I work with people in an organization, many times people say, Vinay, I'm a finance person, I'm a contracts person, I'm a technical person. I'm not wired that way. I'm not wired to be, I don't have a booming voice. I'm not 7 foot tall. I don't have the charisma. All those things come up and they say, that's not me. How many of you have had that conversation with yourself? I'm not going to be that way. And for people who are in leadership positions, they may be leadership position, but boy, there's a lot of doubt. And some doubt is healthy, some fear is healthy. But they'll tell me privately saying, Vinay, I'm not sure I'm up for the job. And some of these guys are running major organizations, very successful, very profitable, great growth trajectory. But privately, it's like, I'm not sure I'm the right person for this job. Maybe you need to really find somebody else. Nobody can relate to that feeling. Yes, we all been there, right? So we'll talk briefly what leadership is, so hopefully it puts a different perspective on it. And then what leaders actually do, and then how to create breakthroughs. That's what we'll spend more time on. So what is leadership in your mind? So this topic is leading for breakthrough results. So what is leadership to you? How do you define it?
Motivating teams.
Motivating teams, right? Okay.
Setting a vision, where are we going?
Setting a vision.
Building the right team.
Building the right team. Okay.
Developing strategy.
People, building the team. What else?
Developing strategy.
Developing strategy, write a game plan for a vision. Where we want to go and how we're going to get there. Okay. What else? So for the context of this presentation, the definition I use, which you're all touching on, is simply, leadership is simply an act of creating a future that matters with and through other people. That's all it is. Creating a future that matters to you with and through other people. How many of us are doing that? Whether it's as individuals or whether in teams. Are we all busy creating a future? That's all leadership is. But how we do it, there's different styles of leadership. Some are very outgoing, some are very reserved, some are very talkative, some are very quiet. Some are very deep thinkers, and some are just, let's just get out there and try something. There are different ways people lead. I think we mix up how people lead with what leadership is. Leadership is simply creating a future that matters to you and to your organization, with and through other people. And I think to a great extent, we all do that. So in essence, we're all leaders. I think John Adams said, if you help other people dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you're a leader. Are you not doing that? We're all leaders. It's just, to me, leadership is simply a mindset. Often we confuse leadership with styles and positions and say, you know, that's not me. I'm not in that position. I'm not this certain level. I think all leaders is simply realizing the future, whatever it is in your hands. Was that if it's to me, it's up to me. It's up to us. We set a vision, we enroll people, and we begin to take action to create that future. We step into it. It's a choice that we make. It's a matter of how do we see ourselves. That's the beginning. Do we see ourselves as leaders? And if we don't see ourselves as leaders, do we show as leaders? How we see ourselves matters a great deal, how we think about ourselves. I'm working with senior women. She runs a HR function in a very large organization. It's a global organization. And I said to her, she told me privately, Vinay, I don't see myself as a leader. So I said to her, what's a leader to you? She goes, a man in a suit. I said, how do you see yourself in relation to other women? It's a very male-dominated leadership team. I said, how do you see yourself in relation to all these other people? She goes, I see myself as an admin. She's in a very senior position. Guess how this person shows up? Like this. So we got to work on our thinking and get into some of that. Right? So leadership is simply creating what matters to you, within to other people, and simply a choice. It's how we see it. It's important. And speaking of leadership, we're always, every moment we're making a choice. You know, we're moving either towards a default future or a desired future. We don't know what our default future is.
Whatever happens, happens.
What happens, right? Right? Without intervention, right? If I don't think in new ways, I don't take some new action. What's that old definition? If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. Right? If I do nothing different, I don't think in different ways, the actions may look different, but I just produce the same old thing. Right? If I don't take care of my health, if I eat excessive junk food, excessive smoking and drinking, all this stuff, can you predict my future? Pretty much, right? In times of change, if I don't engage in new learning, can you predict my future? At some point, I'm going to become irrelevant. If I'm afraid to take on new challenges and things are changing, and when someone gives me a new opportunity, I say, you know, I'm not sure I can take that on, I better say no. What's my future look like then? It gets smaller and smaller, does it not? Or do we take the courage and we step into the unknown and create a future that matters to us? So for many of us, given where we are, what a wonderful opportunity to think about where's my life going and where do I want it to go? We have a wonderful opportunity at this point in life. It's to say we can intentionally design a different future. We're not stuck by our past. There's not a goal there, not experiences we have taken, but we can take that and create a different future. It's a wonderful opportunity. A redesign. Yeah. If you're thinking, there's a wonderful book called Designing Your Life. A couple of guys at Stanford, they wrote that book. It's a wonderful book, Designing Your Life. So I think for many of us, given what I'm sensing, what a great place in life to be. We can create a different future if we so choose. It's always never too late. Never too late. So to create the future, what do we do as leaders? What are some things you do on a day-to-day basis to create the desired future, to create the results you're aiming for? What are some activities? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Work with people, try to understand what their needs are, how you can help.
Oh, it's going forward.
Challenge
There we
there.
go.
So understand. What else do we do as leaders?
Learn.
Learn. Okay.
Communicate.
Please.
Communicate.
Communicate.
Listen.
Listen. What else?
Try new things.
Try new things, right? We're often in unknown territories, are we not? What else do we do? Strategic planning. We might do reviews, we might spend time in board meetings, budget meetings, right? If we're in private business, we're doing marketing. In organizations, we're doing membership drives, we're doing fundraising, we're cultivating member relations. We're doing lots of different things. So let's say if we're watching you outside, there's a glass pane window, and watching you doing all these different things, at the most fundamental level, what are you doing? What are you doing as you're doing all those things? At the most fundamental level, what do you do as leaders?
Creating. Seeking.
Assimilate. I was
In
saying,
the
take it all.
assembly?
Seeking, bring it on. Seeking,
Seeking, what are you seeking?
Change.
Change?
a different way of looking at things.
Okay. So what are you doing as you're seeking? Are you seeking all by yourself, or are you engaged with other people?
Collaborations.
Your collaboration, right? So as you're collaborating, what are you doing at the most fundamental level as a leader? This
Guiding.
is so close, we don't see it.
Guiding.
Guiding, what are you doing as you're guiding? What's the most basic action that we take?
Helping
What
people.
would I see you doing as you're helping people? Communicating, right?
I would say distilling it or putting it all together
Right.
and pulling it back out there. So now here's what I've seen and what I've heard from y'all.
Mhm.
Here's some, what are our recommendations? Or if you are a leader and you've got some clear cut understanding of there's nice dynamics.
Mhm.
Here's where I see things, or here's what we should, let's talk about that next step. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're gathering information, you're seeking information, you're distilling it down, and then you're presenting it out to somebody else, right? So at the most fundamental level, which we don't realize, is we are conversational angels.
Yeah, there you go.
We are talking and listening. Did you realize that? What are we doing right now? It's a conversation. How well do we listen? How well do we communicate? Is huge competency. It's so close to us, we don't see it. We get up in the morning, we get ready, we fly somewhere, to a conference, to a meeting, to our offices, to board meetings, all these different things, and we talk and listen, we talk and listen. And then we go back home. And then we get back on our computers and conference calls, and more talk and listen.
And nothing happens.
Well, that's a different topic sometimes. But
Debbie Downer here, sorry.
how often does that happen, right? We finish a meeting and say, what did we talk about? We don't say it in the meeting, of course. Once we come outside, we say, hey, John, what did we talk about today? What did we agree on? No idea. It happens a lot of times, right? But at the most fundamental level, leaders are conversational engines. People say, well, what about thinking? When we get to think, what is thinking really? How many of you have a voice in your head? Yeah. How many of you have a voice in your head? How many of you talk to yourself? Okay. Which one, right? There's many, many different voices we have, right? Mark Twain said, I'm always in conversation, sometimes other people are involved. This thing is always running. What's this thing to you? And we have a fancy name for it called thinking. So when we say, I got to think about this, what we're saying is, let me go shut the door and let me have a conversation with myself. The only difference is we're not talking out loud. That's the fine line there. But thinking is really just, we're having a conversation with ourselves. That's all what thinking is. A lot of leadership, what we do in is simply conversations. And conversation, how we engage in conversations, matters a great deal. I've seen more leaders get derailed in their careers because of lack of conversational competency. Talking when they're angry, talking when they're putting people down, right? Being abrasive in the language, being dictating as opposed to inviting and collaborating. I've seen more leaders get derailed in their careers because of how they talk and what they say, not because of intelligence. A lot of leaders are very intelligent, very bright people, but they lack the conversational competency. It's really critical. And if you think about organizations, and even as you're looking for, we're interviewing, right? It's a conversation. It matters. If you look at organizations, what are they? They're networks of relationships, networks of conversations, networks of commitments. It's a kind of a busy chart, so I'll kind of break it down. If you look at the top third, what is it, right? We establish a vision, a mission, our goals and priorities. How do we do that? Do we do that all by ourselves sitting in an office? No, we have a conversation in a board meeting or a senior staff meeting. If it's a team level, the team leader with the team members, they have a conversation. What are we about? What do we want to produce? What does success look like for us? It's all done through conversation, right? The bottom half, who are we? Why do we exist? What are our core values? What's the mood in which we have the conversation? That matters, right? Can you imagine a bunch of people sitting around having a conversation and in a deep resentful mood, or deep anger? And you're trying to create the future and you're living in a mood of resignation where there's no possibilities? Guess what kind of future they create? When you have deep resentment and resignation, you don't see a lot of possibilities, right? Mood matters. What's our policies? These are all establishing conversations. Middle of the house, how do we get work done? We make requests, we make offers, we enter into commitments. That's where a lot of breakdowns happen in organization, lots of fuzziness, lots of fuzzy requests and fuzzy commitments. Somebody says simply, hey, can you get that report ready for me? That's it. And you're like, I have no idea what you're looking for. No, just put it together. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Who's had that experience in their life? How frustrating is that? How much time is invested trying to read somebody else's mind? Lots of fuzzy requests, fuzzy commitments. And somebody says, can you take care of that? Sure, let me see what I can do. Can you go to the bank for that? Let me see what I can do. Or we send a group request out, hoping somebody will respond. How often does that happen? And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's like nobody's responding. Lots of fuzziness in that area. A lot of breakdowns happen because of ineffective requests, ineffective delegation, and ineffective commitments. And then we go right to when things doesn't happen, we say, well, I can't trust them. Well, it wasn't a trust issue. It simply was a break in conversation. So gaining conversational competency is really key to success in life. What we say, how we say it, is huge. So we don't have time for this today, but I'm going to ask you to think about what future are you wanting to create for yourself. I know there's a short term, perhaps for landing a position, but even that and long term, given the future you want to create, think about who do you need to be in conversation with. About what? Right? And what would initiate it? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen through conversation. And sometimes you don't have conversations, but conversations are really critical. And that's how we interact, that's how we exchange ideas, that's how we connect, that's how we generate new thinking. Everything happens through conversation. So be intentional about, given the future you want to create, who needs to be in that conversation? Whose voice you haven't heard? Are there some stakeholders whose voice matters? Because if you don't listen to them, you might miss a very important piece of the puzzle here. You might make some decisions, they may come back and say, I wish we hadn't done that. Or I wish we had taken that perspective into consideration, and now it's like, it has repercussions. Is this connecting?
Sure.
Conversations are really critical in having the right people in the conversation. So be intentional about thinking, given the future you want to create, who do you need to be talking to? It ain't going to happen without a conversation. It can be text, it can be Facebook, it can be LinkedIn. I don't care. A lot of different ways, but you got to make the conversation. And how do you start a relationship? Think about that. How does that start?
Conversation.
Conversation. Hi, I'm Vinay. You're Shobha. Relationship begins, right? Let me ask you a question. Now, don't answer this question. What percent of your relationships are in the physical, in the intimate sense? That's why I said don't answer that question. It's tiny, tiny percent. Is the relationship not simply a conversation? Right? We talk about the football game. Hey, how's the game tonight? How's it going? And we talk about our kids and our dreams and our fears and our hopes. Which is a deeper relationship?
I think they're both the same, because they're virtual. They're not virtual, they're live conversation.
Okay. But we talk about the football game here. Hey, how's the game?
Yeah.
We talk about our dreams and hopes and fears. Which is a deeper
Well,
relationship?
this, in theory, should be deeper. But
Really?
to me, if you're talking live, that's the whole benefit, because the virtual conversations is what's hurting this right now. You're not having.
Yeah, that's all the.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's not a missing conversations. But the conversation is the relationship. And tomorrow we change the conversation, we talk about having those conversations. Does the relationship not go deeper? We design through this. It's a very powerful instrument, right? Conversations. And language is creative and generative. We're not just communicating, we're creating every time we have a conversation. The question is, what are you producing? If you're not getting the results you want, go take a look at what you're putting out there. It's basic. I'm not giving you anything rocket science, but a lot of it is cannot be basic. And also I would say, what conversation do we just stop having? Every time we keep going on the same tree over and over again, and it's not working for us. What do we need to let go of? Right? How many of us, we talked about the voice in the head. How many have this inner critic? A debate team. Someone called it itty bitty shitty committee. Right? It messes with our heads. I can't do this. I'm not enough. I'm not up to the job. Right? This will never work out for me. So maybe I won't even go there. How many times we talk ourselves out of something that really could have been a greater opportunity, but because there's voice in the head, we talk ourselves out of it. Who's been there? Yeah, we all have. We all have. We gotta also stop having these conversations with ourselves. Someone said performance is potential minus interruption. Interruption is this itty bitty shitty committee in our heads. It gets in our way, pardon my French, but I think we can handle that here. It's the language and it's this negative voice which stops us so often. Some conversations time to put an end to. It's not serving us, each of us. The voice, doubt is healthy, but excessive doubt, excessive fear hurts us. Does it not? Especially when we're in transition, that voice gets pretty darn loud. Doesn't it? Manage it instead of it managing you. And also, who are you in conversation with? Which ones are no longer serving you? There's a time, we always talk about to-do lists. What we don't talk about is a stop list. When we're in transition, there comes a time we have to let go of certain things also. What doesn't make sense for us anymore? We spend a lot of time there because it's comfortable. It feels good. It's something we know. But is it moving the ball forward? How many of you have things in your life that's saying, maybe it's time to put that to rest? Who's got that? Yeah, we keep still going there because it's comfortable. And I know when I was going through a transition, I had to let go of certain things. Yes?
Do you have any advice as to how we can, start talking more positively to ourselves? I think that you first have to recognize that it's a problem. That's probably the first step. But what do you do to turn the switch? You're feeling down because, hey, I'm in transition, or how do you get that momentum going in the right direction?
I'm certainly happy to share. There's a lot of experience and wisdom in the room, so I don't have to tap into that if I can. I will also answer. How do you all do it? Yes?
I think that during my past 17 years of my career change, each year I did a job. So I came to the point where I was frustrated. So I read this book. The one way is to read the self-help book. And always I try to, what I learned is to try to be in the positive environment. You cut down your negative environment, negative friends.
Okay.
And one exercise I do is I watch my thoughts. So any negative, I try to say, replace it positive. That's hard to do it, but that's an exercise that, and any negative, what I learned, thoughts is like a poison to your body.
Yeah,
So if you think that way, I think you will feel better.
Okay. Others, you want to add to that? Yes?
I tend to have a bias for action and build a sort of achievements for myself that then I can at least tell myself, okay, I was able to do this and X, Y, and Z, and so therefore I can continue forward. It's a little like encouraging yourself by proving to yourself that you can do X, Y, Z thing, and so you just keep moving the ball forward, sort of like in football. It's about going forward. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Well, it all makes sense, right? It's what works. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. Is it working for you? So I think one is simply awareness. Oh, I'm going down the rabbit hole again. And sometimes we go down the rabbit hole pretty far. Then we're like, oh, I'm back in that place again. Pull myself out of it. The stuff is sometimes very simple, but it's not always easy. It's intentional saying, that's not going to serve me. Let me stop that conversation. So first is being aware and catching ourselves, saying, oh, trying to put myself out of it. Go for a walk, make a call a friend, someone who lifts you up, not who pulls you down, right? It's important who we surround ourselves with. Some people commiserate with you. That's not what you need right now. You need someone who's going to pull you out of that situation. Someone who may give you some tough love also, right? So just catching ourselves and saying, I don't want to stay there. I choose not to stay there. It's a choice. Take action and do something, because when we begin to do something, our bodies begin to feel different. If I'm sitting like this, what's my mood? Stand up and stand tall. Shift your body, and it begins to feel better. You get more confidence. And celebrate the small wins. When I was going through my transition, and there were a lot of times, that doubt still comes up at times. You know, and even I've been in this a while, it still comes up. But you know, do something and celebrate every win you got. Every win. And it keeps us going. It's just a little bit at a time, it just keeps building. Will you say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I had a life coach sometime that I spoke to her. What she said was, your negative thoughts, you cannot remove it totally. All you have to find why it's coming, like for example, fear. It's trying to protect you from something. If you give a negative or positive thought, and it will go away. But if it is overwhelming, you have to cut it down. So I think all negative are not bad. It's trying to protect you as long as you recognize why it is coming to you and you can stop.
It serves you also, but just don't stay there. And don't make yourself wrong. We're all human beings. This stuff comes up. Acceptance, 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 but let's not stay there. We'll come in, but let's not make it a home. Let's get out of it as quickly as we can. Evict it. Give it an eviction notice.
Don't circle the drain.
Don't circle it, right? Yeah. If we keep going round and round and round, enough.
Circle the drain.
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah, it keeps, and it's just awareness and catching ourselves, and then shifting. This is constant work, especially in transition. And I've been there. I know what it's like. And every win matters. And like I said, people that lift you up, surround yourself. People that bring you down, stop engaging in conversation with that. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you. You need people to lift you, bring you up, and move you forward, not bring you down. You don't need those people in our lives. The people who energize you, people who drain you, who's got those in their lives? Yeah, the ones that are draining you, kind of, minimizing time. So I've been talking a lot about the conversation, and the conversation are the actions that we take to produce outcomes, right? Now, I'm talking about people that are wearing these kind of clothes, right? We work in office environment, we're knowledge workers. I'm not talking about people that are working in backhoes and things like that. There are certain physical aspects even to our roles, but to a great degree our actions are conversational actions. So it is through conversation we build relationships, we build our networks, and we achieve whatever we're going to achieve. So conversations are big. But what precedes conversation? So we can improve our conversational competency, and we must, because that helps us be more effective, but you get incremental gain. How do you get quantum leaps? What comes before the action?
Learning.
Learning.
Vision. Vision.
Vision.
Thinking?
Thinking. Let's do a couple exercises, okay? To make a point. Let's say we have today's time with Amazon and all these different things. There's a big problem that's happening is we're having all this landfill, right? Boxes and boxes and boxes. How many of you get tons of boxes at home? Man, I got 2 daughters, and since Amazon came on, I get packages every day. It's like my job at home is to bring the packages from the outside to the inside. Every day there's tons of these boxes. And what do we do with these boxes? What can we do with them? What can we create with these boxes that can be beneficial to the environment? So I'm going to invite you to have a conversation with your neighbor and think about, brainstorm, what are all the things you can do with these boxes? What can you, different uses, different creations, what can you do with it? So have just a 2 or 3 minute conversation. What can you do with this? See what you come up with.
So I would think that the best thing to do is to
Right, it's going to be a place for pets.
Yeah.
So what else can be done?
I just want to
That's what I but I mean, my kids sometimes sometimes we store stuff. So can always maybe play with. Apparently, bubble wrap is very relaxing.
Really?
My daughter
As long as you're allowed.
Camping, when it goes to camping,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing you can do is define your orders, make sure you get through.
Yeah, it's a good thing. If you, it depends on the size of the cardboard. If it's a bigger one, then the other is forcing parts. Like, you know, I was, if I have something I brought, I mean, statements. So,
Art out there and hear others talk about.
can you say something?
You can shred them up and use packing material, you can choose bedding.
Create sense.
Like the weather is good, it's a rainy weather.
Well, actually, what you can do,
And
I've done this, you
yeah, I
can make
think
a piece of cardboard,
that probably
put the cardboard down, on top of that, put soil, and it's kind of like mulch. You punch through the cardboard to plant, but it's actually holes.
Let's come back together. Let's come back
I
together.
think we can do that in art.
So, what were some ideas that you all came up with?
Stop ordering Amazon.
Huh? Stop ordering Amazon? That's one way to solve the issue.
So, as a team, we had come, one is recycling. The second thing is depend on the size of the cardboard, is it small, or you can use it for art.
Okay, art.
If you have kids, you have
Okay.
art, so even as a big kid, we can do it.
Okay.
And,
These
and
kids
other,
with bigger bodies, that's how we are, yeah.
and other thing is, we can do some, for camping, if we are bigger, and if based on the weather, if it doesn't rain, we can use it for camping.
Oh, you got a lot of ideas there. Super. Did you all come up with the same ideas?
Yeah, we all have.
Same ideas or different ideas?
We had different ideas.
Right? Different ideas. How about over here? What did you notice? Same ideas, different ideas?
Amanda said it first, but I've been thinking the same thing when you were talking, is to make them into blocks for the
Mhm.
kids.
Okay.
Stuff them full of stuff and wrap them up and let them build
Okay.
forts and.
Forcing different, so creation, somebody's thinking art, sometimes we can create something with it, right? How about over here?
Our idea was to send it back to the vendors, they can reuse it. Like, why don't they include a self-addressed sticker?
Mm-hmm.
We'll take ours off, slap that on, let them reuse it till they can't.
How many of you came with that idea to send them back?
Repurposing.
Repurposing, right?
Recycling.
So isn't that interesting? And did you have the experience that when one person shares an idea, it triggers another idea in you?
Yes.
That happened, right? Collaboration, that's the power of collaboration. So it's interesting because you all were looking at the same thing. You all have eyes, and you're looking at the same thing, but you have to look at the variety in terms of the possibilities you see. Isn't that amazing? What's that about? Right? We look with our eyes, but we don't see with our eyes, we see with our minds. We see with our mind. And no judging at this point, right? We're simply brainstorming, right? Right? And because I mean, we'll skip the next exercise. Well, let's do it anyways. Let's do it anyways. Let's go on. Now, read you a very short story. Pay attention, be attentive. And there's the statements up there. We're going to take the first few. And what you're listening for the story is, are these statements true? Are they false? Well, not enough information. Okay? So you're going to take the first few statements. After you hear the story, you'll say, is it true? Is it false? Or not enough information? Okay? So here's the story. A businessman had just turned off the lights in the store when a man appeared and demanded the money. The owner opened the cash register. The contents of the cash register were scooped up and the man sped away. A member of the police force was notified immediately. Very short story, isn't it? So just take the first few and individually, which ones you say are true, which are false, which one we don't have enough information. Just individually. This is your initial reaction. And when you're done, turn to your neighbor and just compare the answers, how you responded to each statement. Just your first view.
All right, the first one is true.
Yeah.
Second one, drill. Third one,
I think we need more information.
oh, we didn't find out.
Yeah, not even.
I thought it-
Let me just read it. Number 4.
Number 3. I thought it said intruder over.
Well, there's another line. So that's why. I'm trying to figure, are they supposed to be related to each other? Like, are we building these?
Did you answer the same way?
Based on creative.
No, I think
No,
it's
it's-
So, yeah, so that should be true. That's true.
Is it yours?
Yeah. So that's 3?
Let's come back in the room. So as you were comparing, did you answer the same way as you were comparing them, or was it different?
It's different.
It's different, huh? How do you thought it was a robbery? How do you thought it was a robbery? How do you thought the robber was a man? Did we ever say it was a robbery? It's interesting. There's only 2 true statements in there. And the rest of them we don't know. There's no false statements in there. So it's interesting. You all heard the same thing, but yet you responded differently.
Can you tell us which?
You don't know the answer. Okay, afterwards. Afterwards, okay? It's interesting. You all heard the same thing. Hearing is a physical phenomenon, right? Sound waves hit your eardrums, and you capture sound waves, but you all make different meaning. Isn't that interesting? Often we go to meetings and we think we got it. And you come outside the meeting, you're having a conversation, and you think, were you at the same meeting that I was? It's like, I don't think we're in the same conversation. Does that happen? Yeah. Have you ever been misunderstood? Or you misunderstood somebody else? How often does that happen? So this is interesting because what happens is we all live in an interpretive world. None of us have access to the absolute reality. We do not. We have our filters, we have our biases, we make assumptions, and we're all making interpretations. We live in an interpretive world and we don't realize it. We think we see the world as it is. It's not true. We see the world as we are. What do you see up here? Does this look familiar to you? You know some folks like that? What's the fact here in the picture that we can all agree to? What's the fact?
They're sisters.
Same dress, the same event. Now, we don't know exactly what they're thinking, but what do you think the interpretation of the big sister is? The taller one.
Not digging it.
Not digging it, right? What do you think kind of words come out of her mouth? And the tone of her conversations? Do you invite her to the party? Or to a project team? I'd love to have you, but I'm sorry I don't have anything right now for you. The little one comes along, what do you think she's thinking? Same dress, what's her interpretation? I'm so excited. Right? What kind of energy does she create around her? What happens to the mood? Does the mood go up or does the mood go down? It's uplifting, isn't it? You invite her to a project team?
Yes.
Yeah, you want to have her around. I don't mean to say, I'm sorry. When she walks in the room, the whole mood just goes right down. So is it the dress or is it the way of looking at the dress? Do you think they realize they have a story that they're making in their heads? They have an interpretation?
Not for 12 more years, we might have this conversation.
This is something we don't realize. Here's what happened. This is a major learning in how we get breakthroughs. Something happens in our life. Life is full of events. It's a very busy slide, I apologize, right? We hear something, we look at something with our eyes. And we capture some information, and there's a whole lot that we miss. And we quickly make an interpretation, a story. Not fibbing, we make a story. We don't even realize we do that. And we get locked, and we don't even see the story. We think that's just the way it is. And from that interpretation, we take action to produce what we're producing. Right? Give you a couple examples. Let's say you have a best friend named John, and the person you cannot stand is Susie. There's no Susie here, right? I'm just making all this up. Okay? And Sunday night, you tell John your deepest, darkest secrets. Everything in your life you share. You pour your heart out, your guts out, right? You come into work next day, and you see John and Susie talking. And the minute they see you walking in, they go real quiet. You have hello, niceties. And the minute you turn around and leave the room, you hear laughter. What are you thinking? They're talking about me. I've done this in many different countries. That's what everybody says, no matter what culture or location. What's the fact and what's the story? Do we know for a fact they're talking about me?
No.
But do we see that in a moment in time? Or do our emotions take over just like that? Right? You're driving along, you gotta get to work, you have a tight deadline, and you're just so focused on getting to work, someone comes right in front of you. What are you thinking? What are you feeling at that moment in time?
Frustrated because you love.
Do you open the window and say, hey, have a nice day, I'm sure it must be rough for you? You give them a nice peace sign, and you say, let's have coffee sometime. Far from it, right? But and we say, man, where do you get his license from? He or she, right? Does he know how to drive? How quickly we jump to conclusions, right? We make interpretations so quickly, and then we don't even realize it, it takes us over. The body tenses up, our mood begins to shift, we begin to move in a certain direction. And we don't realize it. And how often do we say something in that heat of the moment and say, gosh, I wish I hadn't said that later on when you cool down. Or some new information surfaces and you say, I wish I had zipped it. Who's been there? In the heat of the moment you said something, this happens more at home with that other person in our lives, and we kind of cool down, we say, I wish I hadn't said that. We jump to the conclusions. We form a story, we see some things, we form an interpretation, and we get locked into that thinking. We don't realize there's another perspective here. And because we don't realize it, we have no other possibility. And how many of us then get so defending that is right, and if I think I'm right and you see something differently, guess what that makes them? It makes them, how many times do we battle have that conversation? I'm right, you're wrong. Being right for the sake of what? How many times it happens in meetings that somebody has your perspective, that's back on the right perspective. Have you involved all the other stakeholders in the meeting and say, what's their perspective? How much do we miss because their voice isn't in the conversation? So the whole idea of breakthroughs is to produce results, we take certain action. What we don't realize those actions comes from certain perspective, certain thinking process that we have, as you mentioned thinking. And our thinking isn't the complete picture. It's a perspective, a piece of information. So bringing different people in the conversation, we see more of the picture, we make better decisions, right? We all have areas of utter blindness and utter brilliance. We're brilliant in some areas and we're blind in other areas, right? Because I know what I know, because I know what I don't know, and there's what I don't even know that I don't even know. We all have areas of blindness. So bringing different perspectives and different ways and different stakeholders and different people in the conversation can help us see more possibilities that we may not be seeing by ourselves. And that's how you get breakthroughs. You generate new thinking. You get those aha moments. Have you been ever working on a project and you're stuck, you hit a wall? A friend walks along and say, what you working on? You say, I'm doing this, and I don't know what more to do. They say, well, did you try this? And you say, oh, I didn't think of that. Who's had that experience? Were they smarter than you? No, it's just a different perspective. Different way of framing something, different way of thinking about it. So big learning in life is to say, when I see something, don't get so quickly locked into it. Just realize that's a perspective, not the complete picture.
So just a quick question on the first point. You see something happens and we don't capture the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an example, in one of the companies I worked in, the CEO and HR dropped subtle hints to a group of people that their jobs were probably going to be terminated, but without outright telling them.
Mm-hmm.
But their actions made it very clear that that was what was going to happen, but they firmly believed absolutely not. And I don't know, at what point do you say, I have to listen to my gut or rely on past experience or say, this doesn't fit a picture of normalcy? Versus saying, oh, well, they might be saying that, but they really don't mean it, because I feel like that's the thinking that the other group took, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, what were you saying?
It's subliminal, so to her point, but my advice would be, you combine that with, okay, so now we're more mature, we can be honest. So in my situation, or your situation, Rod, they're just covering their bases from an HR standpoint.
Right.
And we should be more comfortable to be confident with our, we've got nothing to lose. So I think the authenticity of those conversations are different. And that, yeah, I agree with you. You know, it is what it is. But are you going to respond authentically, or are you going to have to do what you have to do for the corporate line? Does that make sense?
Oh, no, and I'm not questioning the decision. What I'm saying is that the recipients of the message probably could have been smarter 6 months in advance instead of being so shocked when it happened. And that's where I'm talking about, at what stage do you say, well, I have to go on my gut, my past experience, and say, I'm getting these not so subtle messages versus I need to hear it in black and white, like what you're saying here, but passing by those two people laughing at you or the ones who were talking, stop talking.
Asking the right questions, pushing them to say, okay, what I'm hearing is this, versus us pushing them to say, what we want you to hear is that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, have a conversation. If your body's saying something to you that doesn't feel right, talk about it, because maybe we quickly make interpretation. Your body's responding to a thought. The thought may not always be accurate, or it may be. Let's just check it out. There's a lot of missing conversations in organizations. Conversation we're not having, but if you did, things could be better. There's a lot of missing conversations. And so it's good to say, what are the conversations that we're not having, but if you did, things will be more clear. So just check it out. I have this gut feeling, I may be off, but let's just talk about it. But that's not, otherwise what happens if you don't talk, more stories get made up. The more stories get made up, the more our body, it's a spiral. Right? So check it out. Yes.
I have one experience that I would like to share. It's related to the interpretation. I recently joined the company in March, and I was out of job for a long time. So when I joined this job, I was very insecure of certain incidents happening. So I think interpretation is based on what's happening and our fear and experience, and sometimes too much knowledge is bad. So I think what happened is, it's been 2 months, and I think 2 days ago I went home. I got a letter from the company saying that this is a continuation of your insurance, Corba. I said, this usually I get it when I'm out of job. So I thought, if they fire me, and I was worried all night because I don't want to call up my human resource saying that because it's almost 11 o'clock when I went home. So I worried like 2 hours, and then as I said that, I couldn't sleep, then I put my positive thought saying that no matter what happens, I'm going to deal with it. So because all night I was thinking that I'm fired because I got this letter, right? I went and I had the patience because I put my positive thoughts. I said I'm going to deal with it. So I waited for my human resource. I come to office like 7
What did you find when you reached out to them? What was it?
Yeah, she says it's just an information for you. It's nothing to do. So
Confidence
it's
in
how you
nothing.
interpret. It's actually very scary because it happened to me because I lost like so many jobs. As soon as I lost, I get this letter.
Yeah, there's history here, right?
This
There's
is like,
history.
and I learned the lesson is don't interpret and worry until you have the real information.
Yeah, just be aware you're interpreting, right? And when you're especially getting triggered, that's the time to slow down. Slow down.
Absolutely.
The fact is I got a letter, but maybe what's going on isn't going on. So really learning to slow down and say, let me get more information.
Absolutely.
It's a life changer, right? I want to share a very simple model with you, right? To produce current results, we take current actions. It's very obvious. When people say to produce a breakthrough, we simply take new action. Not so, right? All your current actions come from your current thinking, the way you look at something, the way you frame it. If you don't produce breakthroughs, you got to bring new thinking into it. And that's something most of us don't do. We talk about actions, what we're doing. We don't talk about where that action is coming from. What's the thinking behind it? Invite new thinking. When you begin to invite your thinking, that changes the game. So the question becomes, how do you generate new thinking? How do you generate new thinking? I don't have a lot of time to get into it. I'll just quickly give it to you. This will help your life. You got to start with surfacing your current thinking. So about a situation, capture everything you're saying to yourself. Remember that voice in the head? That's your current thinking. Write down everything you're saying about a situation on a piece of paper. Whatever you're saying to yourself is what your current thinking is. In that you will find certain assumptions, certain beliefs, certain data, and certain stories. You'll find some data, but lots of stories. Lots of them. And then you can ask yourself, what am I assuming here? What am I missing? What am I not seeing? And given the data, what might be some other ways of looking at it? Maybe it's not just information matter, it's nothing else. Tap into each other and say, given the situation, what do you see? That's how you get aha moments. We all can look at the same thing as experience, but see very differently. And that's the power of groups. That's the power of groups. Remember many years ago, association people were saying, well, now we can get information on Google. What's our relevance? Yeah, you can get information on Google, but association provide a platform for people to come together in conversation. No one can, I don't think I can replace that. And what's happening in this conversation, you're generating new thinking. And that's how you get breakthroughs. So if you can begin to recognize what's the fact, what's the story, at that moment slow down and ask yourself, given the situation, what might be some other ways of looking at it, you'll see a whole new world open up for you, whole new ways of moving forward. And that's a major game changer in life. It's a major changer, major game changer. And most people don't realize that. They simply keep moving in one direction. A lot of in leadership positions nowadays, especially as things are changing so fast, that's our role, to convene conversation. People coming from different backgrounds, and really architect and convene and facilitate dialogue that generates new thinking, new possibilities. That's the power of diversity, my way of thinking. It's not just ethnicity and gender and all that. It's we have different ways of looking at the world. That's the power. I went over quickly at some key points. I hope that this will serve you. What's coming up as you think about what I covered? What's your takeaway? What are you taking that can serve you in life? What's the takeaway? What is the trigger for you?
Yeah, I need to start analyzing what I'm saying a little bit more, because I think I'm going to find out that I'm probably talking a little more negatively than I need to be based on the facts.
How many of us do that? Yeah, take advantage of this thing. Yeah. How about Carrie, you were saying something?
Pretty much on the same vein. Basically, just don't shut down and don't be nervous about saying something that you think is not going to be received well. So I'm not shy, obviously, but I would say that there's an opportunity for a lot of people to say what's on their mind. It's not there's nothing bad about making these recommendations. And people stop judging, really foster more of an open dialogue versus just sitting there in silence.
And if you're stuck, call a friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Call people, say, hey, I'm stuck here. I'm trying to do this. What would you do in this situation? How do you see it? You'll see pathways about how moments will begin to surface. What do you take from the conversation?
As I've been thinking, I will look for the same kind of job that I had previously, and that maybe I need to open it up and realize a little bit more and think through it and think through other options and possibilities.
Yeah. Because there are lots of different things in life.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we define ourselves by the role we had and what we did. And what I always say is that I'll just touch on it real quickly before this. Something that I learned is that in life, your role, your subject, and your place will keep changing. We all know that. That's constant. Today I'm working with the healthcare, tomorrow I work with chemicals. I'm in the Chemical Engineering Society, tomorrow with cardiology. All that keeps changing. It's constant. And that's something we can learn. What's tough to learn is abilities like ability to learn, interpersonal skills, communication skill, staying focused, being resilient, right? Collaborating, tapping into different people's thinking. Those are tough skills to learn. But that's what we work on because that's constant. That's going to grow. You'll take with you wherever you go. So that's what you're saying. Yeah, if you had a certain role, you worked in a certain place, you did a subject. But that will change all your life. So as we build our new futures, don't go by this. That's constantly changing. Go by this. Your core. Who are you and what are you made of? That's all transferable. That's all transferable. So I don't know if that helps you, right? So oftentimes we define ourselves by what we did, and we look for jobs. Yeah, I did this before, and I think I qualify over here. And we keep looking for the same thing. No, we can do a heck of a lot more. We're so capable. Just gotta change this. Thank you. Others? Anybody else? And I'm going overboard my time. I apologize. Yes.
I have read a little bit on diversity and how diverse thinking can occur in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the beautiful things about being in a cross matrix or a multidisciplinary team is that there are different perspectives, the engineers versus the perhaps research and development people versus the salespeople, the marketing people. And I think that one of the things that we could take away from it is that all these people are needed to come up with innovative, unique solutions. And so that to value each different person's perspective based on their own background, their skills, and you can really have breakthrough innovation, I think, through the diversity in a group.
Absolutely. I was at NASA last week. So we had the Goddard Space Flight Center, whatever it's called. And when they build those satellites, just imagine how many different expertise go into building that. Air people, water people, materials people, electrical people. Could any of them do them by themselves? There's no way. That's the beauty of diversity. We all need each other. No one's got the corner on all the ideas. That's the richness of diversity. And how about associations or nonprofits, like our boards? How diverse are they? Right? Are they looking at all the different constituents? It's important to get better decision making. A couple more that I'm going to end over here. Yes.
I think what I learned is about repetition. From my experience, it's keep happening, things happening, and bad things happening. The only thing I realize is I can get out if I start interpreting in a different new thinking. Like a small example, how it happened and how I lost 2 hours of sleep. I could have been better saying that let's take it that's a positive or it's going to be a good thing. So I think to break or to have that aha moment, I have to start interpreting in a new thinking and to break the barrier towards the success.
Change your interpretations, your moods will change, how you feel in your body will change, you'll create a very different future. People say change your thinking, change your life, change your interpretations. Anybody one more? That's what you take from today? Any questions coming up? It's not rocket science, it's basic, but it's powerful. Yes?
I think what I get from this is that I need to continue staying in the conversation.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's very easy to just, okay, I'm so afraid of this or that, but I need to be meeting people, right? Being challenged by other people, they give me some new ideas, and that's the only way I can produce something good for myself to move on.
Especially in transition. Get up every morning and go do something. It may not work, it doesn't matter, but maybe that's the springboard for something else, which wouldn't have happened had this not happened. You gotta keep moving. The worst thing we can do is stay in bed.
Right.
And now if you feel like it, keep moving, keep trying, keep being in conversation. It's really key. When I went through that, I was always in conversation. Inside, I had no idea what I'm doing sometimes, but you fake it till you make it. I think there's a talk like that. You just keep at it. It comes.
Fake it until you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Bake it.
Fake it till you make it. Hey, whatever works, just do it. keep going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinay.